Welcome back to the shop. In the last video, I built this miter saw station. It's a great addition to the shop, and I've started storing my tools and gears and other supplies in the drawers and the cabinets. Like this one, I stored all of my batteries and chargers here. It is still work in progress, but it's way better than having everything scattered around the shop. Next, I wanted to address the dust collection on this miter saw. This is a DeWalt DWS 780 12-inch sliding miter saw, and its dust collection is one of the worst I've ever seen, if not the worst on the market. In general, dust collection on miter saws is notoriously bad. They're not as refined as the system you usually see on tools like planer and jointer or table saw. Still, you would think after all these years and after so many different models from so many different manufacturers, the dust collection on miter saws would have improved, but honestly, it really hasn't. In the past, I tried a couple of different approaches. One was hooking up the hose from my Shop-Vac directly to the dust port on the back of this saw. And another way was making a hole on the back of my station or the enclosure that I had for this saw at the time and connecting it to the dust collection system. And that basically pulled the air and dust, made a draft, and keep all the dust inside that enclosure. Both methods help with the dust management, but not through dust collection. They reduce the mist, but every so often I had to go in and clean up the dust and debris manually. And not just inside the enclosure, the dust was everywhere around the saw. So knowing that the manufacturers are improving the dust collection on these machines, we have to find a better solution ourselves. Luckily, there are some geniuses on YouTube who have already tackled this problem. Two of the most well-known examples are Shop Nation and Inspired Woodcraft. They came up with really smart solutions. These guys are basically one-man research and development teams, and they saw the problem, they did a ton of testing and research, and they worked through different versions and finally came up with the solution that actually solved it. So Travis from Shop Nation and Jody from Inspired Woodcraft YouTube channel, they each designed a separate kit that basically solved part of the problem. But when you combine both of these solutions, they came really close to collecting nearly 100% of the dust from these machines. I ordered both of those kits, and the kit from Inspired Woodcraft has already arrived, but the kit from Shop Nation is still on the way. In the meantime, a couple of weeks ago, Shop-Vac reached out and they sent me this new vacuum. This is a 6-gallon, 4-horsepower Shop-Vac with a 20-foot hose. And they asked me to give an honest review on this one. And I figured this might actually be a really good time to do that. So while I'm waiting for the other kit to arrive, I thought I would just go ahead and review this Shop-Vac for you. I am going to unbox it, see what's inside. I'll run some tests, and maybe I'll compare it to one of the older Shop-Vacs that I already have in the shop and see how this one performs. And if it turns out to be a good one, I probably end up using it as a dedicated Shop-Vac for the dust collection and the miter saw. Let's get into it. All right, here's what was inside the box. First, this is the main bin, and I really like it. For one, it's stainless steel, and it has a very simple cylinder shape. And the reason for that is the other Shop-Vac that I have, which is more comparable to this one than the other Shop-Vacs that I have in the shop, which is a very well-known brand. This one has a very weird awkward shape for the bin, and it makes it really hard to clean up dust and debris, and even water gets into the little corners and crevices, and it makes it really hard to clean that up. This one, on the other hand, is nice and smooth on the inside, and it's gonna be easier to empty and dump out the water or clean up whatever's inside. So first impression are really good. I like the stainless steel and I like the simple design. Next is the motor unit. This is, first of all, it has a very convenient handle and also very smooth on and off switch in front of the unit. And also this is the vacuum blower style Shop-Vac, which vacuums from front, and when there's like an attachment for the blower, you can attach it like this, then you can attach the hose to it and use it as a blower. I'll show it in a minute. And as I mentioned, this is a wet and dry Shop-Vac. You can put this sleeve cover on to avoid any debris to be sucked into the motor, and when you're trying to wet pick up. And also for the dry vacuum, the filter goes on and off very easily. You can just push the filter in and screw this cap on like this to make it very secure. And then when you're done, when it's a cleaning time, you can unscrew it, pull out the filter, and you can wash it. These are washable, so you can rinse them off when it's time for cleaning. It comes with a dust bag, which is a nice bonus, and 3 different attachments for the hose, like a wide floor nozzle, smaller utility nozzle, and this one is for detail, or tight corners. And it also comes with the 3 pieces for the wand or the stick or whatever the name is, for having a little more reach to far corners. And it also comes with a tool holder that you can screw to the wall to keep everything organized. Before I show you the hose, this is a wall bracket that you can screw to the wall and hang the whole unit from its side. And the reason that matters is because this unit does not come with wheels, so it's really designed to stay in one place. And the way that they make up for it is with this long and flexible and expandable hose that starts from 5 or 6 feet and expands all the way to 20 feet. I really like the hose. I like the flex of it and how far it goes. But my main concern is how good it can pick up larger debris, because this is a 1 1/4 diameter hose. So I'm not sure how good it is to picking up like a larger debris. Like if you're sweeping your floors, can it pick up leaves or larger wood chips? The other Shop-Vac has a hose that is 1 7/8, so 1 7/8. So naturally, this is going to be better to pick up for picking up larger debris. Other than that, it's a pretty straightforward setup. It comes with the manual, and next I'm gonna do some tests, the wet and dry tests. I'm gonna start with the wet because it's gonna be easier to clean it up after, and then like a simple dry test with the regular size dust and debris to see how well it performs, and then maybe a larger debris to see if the hose gets clogged, and then I probably do a noise test to see how loud it is when you're standing like 3 or 4 feet from it. Let's get started. So for the first test, I've got a gallon of water here, and I just want to see how quickly this thing can suck it all up using this 1 1/4 inch hose. This is a very simple test, definitely not a scientific one, but I'm just curious to see how fast it can do it. So I'm going to turn on the vacuum, and as soon as I put the hose into the water, I will start the timer on my phone and see how long it takes. So the first test was 3.94, I guess, and I only used the hose and I didn't go all the way to the bottom of the bin. And so I did the test again, this time with this attachment, and I went all the way down and it took 4 seconds and 16 100 of a second, which I think is impressive. There's a little bit of water remaining at the bottom of the bin, but I think it's good, it's impressive.
There was a little water left at the bottom of the bucket, so I thought why not pour it onto the table and see how the vacuum handles it. As you can see, it did a pretty good job sucking it up. After just one pass, there was no visible water left on the table. You could still feel a little dampness on the surface, but there was no standing water and your hand wouldn't get wet just from touching it. For the regular dry test, I spread some small wood chips and sawdust on the table. I first tested it with just the hose, and then I tried it with the floor nozzle. In both cases, it did a really good job cleaning everything up. For the large debris test, I gathered some dry leaves from my backyard and tried vacuuming them up using both the floor nozzle and the hose. In both cases, the vacuum struggled quite a bit and kept getting clogged. With the leaf that size, there was really no chance it was going to suck them up as they were. Then I tried breaking the leaves down by hand into smaller pieces, and once they were shredded up a bit, the vacuum did a pretty good job picking them up. So yes, it will definitely struggle with larger pieces of debris with that diameter hose, but it handles a smaller material much better.
All right, for the noise test, I have my phone about 4 feet away from the Shop-Vac itself, and I'm going to turn this on and at the same time check the decibel meter app on my phone. I've actually downloaded 2 different apps, so I'm going to check both of them to get a better idea of how loud this machine really is. And after that, I'm going to give you my verdict and just tell you what I really think about this machine.
The first app is called Sound Level, and the highest reading I got was 61.5 decibel. And the second app called Decibel Meter, it showed the maximum reading of 87 decibels. That's obviously a pretty big difference, so I went back to test it again with the first app just to make sure I hadn't read it wrong, but as you can see, it gave me the same result. So I will just leave it up to you to decide what to make of those numbers.
Okay, my verdict on this Shop-Vac. I really like it. I think the pros far outweigh the cons. The only downside for me is the narrow hose, and I think it's gonna struggle a bit picking up large trash and debris. That said, the narrow hose, it's also one of the reasons that it's so flexible. And I don't think it's really designed for larger trash and debris. And I think it's a really good option. It's a solid option for picking up fine dust and smaller wood chips. And it's really good for hooking up to machines like miter saw, sander, a track saw, something that produces a lot of fine dust. Overall, I really like it. I like the stainless steel body and the bin design. The handle and the on-off switch is very conveniently placed. And I forgot to mention, there's like places here that you can store your attachments. And some people might see the lack of wheel as a downside, but I personally think that was intentional. This Shop-Vac meant to stay stationary most of the time, and you can take advantage. You can just sit it on the floor, take advantage of the long hose, or you can mount it on the wall and have everything, all of the attachments stored right next to it. Another use case that I think this would work really well is cleaning out the car. You can just leave it outside and take advantage of the long hose and all the attachments to reach the different corners and tight spaces. And again, for a Shop-Vac of this size, it has a pretty powerful motor, 4 horsepower, and the bin is really easy to empty and clean. So overall, I really like it, and I would definitely recommend it. If you are interested in buying one for yourself, I will leave the link down in the description. And if you want to see how this Shop-Vac performs as a dedicated dust collection on a miter saw, make sure you don't miss the next video as I'm installing those kits and put the whole system into the test. As always, thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next one.